Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm here with a special edition of Yari Extra. Haven't done one of these in a while. Last time I was here, I had Joe Numbers, and we didn't really do a lot of wrestling talk. I'm still kind of disappointed in the episode. Not Joey. I'm disappointed how the episode came out. There's a lot of sound qualities that kind of fucked up the episode. But yeah, been meaning to do one of these for a while. I've said I like to use these for non-wrestling conversations, just to shoot the shit about life, talk about video games, movies. So that's what I'm going to do on this. I'm going to review The Last of Us 2, which came out on the 19th of June. I beat it 10 days later, so that was on the 29th. So 19th of June, I'd be on the 29th, which was... So... Right. Today's Wednesday, is the 1st, so yesterday's the 3rd. So I beat it on Monday. So it took me 10 days to beat. I know a lot of other people, they literally put in like a shit ton of hours to beat the game. The longest I put in during that game was 4 hours and 20 minutes. How ironic. But I guess before I talk about the game, I'll just talk about what really drew me to the game and what really interested me in the game, or even in the first one, just to be more clear. I've always been an Xbox, game player. I've always been a very, I guess you want to call it a loyal Xbox gamer. I was never a fan of PlayStation. Just didn't really care for it. I looked at PlayStation as like, kind of, I guess, beneath me in some ways. There are never really any games that I really saw myself playing for PlayStation. And also, before that, matter of fact, before, last year, I've always been more of a, I guess you want to call it a safe gamer. Like, I would always play the easy games, like sports games, like the NBA Lives and the 2Ks. And, I would play the Batman games here and there, and like Halo and Pokemon, and Destiny. I'm still a Destiny player, by the way. What drew me to even get a PS4 in the first place was watching the walkthroughs for Last of Us. There's a YouTuber on YouTube who'll stream his games. His name is CenterStrain01. Shout out to CenterStrain. Which weirdly enough, me and him actually share the same birthday, and I think we're the same age, by the way. So we're both born on July 17th, 1989, which is crazy. So shout out to him, by the way. He had streamed the game. He literally played the entire game, which I actually watched. And I watched it like I was watching a movie, or just like a mini-series, which, they're actually doing a Last of Us mini-series on HBO, which I'm stoked for that. I'm counting on the seconds when that show actually does come out. And I'm just watching this game, and I'm just enthralled by the story, because the story's not that unique, because it's about a zombie apocalypse, and we've already had that with Walking Dead. But as opposed to Walking Dead is more so about like a shit ton of people. Like, there's a ton of characters on The Walking Dead, and there really is no main star. There was, but even when there was, there really wasn't. Whereas, The Last of Us is about really two people. It's about Joel, who, I was from Texas, which I was trying to find out where the beginning was based out of, and it said he was from Travis County, which is not too far from me. And, Joel, was in the apocalypse with his daughters, was in his daughter Sarah, and when all this shit went down, him and his daughter and his brother were trying to make a run for it to try and find safety, to get away from all the craziness, and she ended up getting shot by accident because he was trying to get out of the way. He was trying to get her out of the way, but the bullet was just too fast, and it ended up hitting her in the abdomen, stomach, and because she's so young and she doesn't really have the body frame, I guess, to sustain or survive an attack. And also these bullets are pretty strong. She died right there in his arms, which it's still a scene you watch and you still get emotional over because his daughter is dying in his arms, and there's nothing he can do about it. She just dies automatically. There's nothing he can do. There's no way he can close the wound or put pressure on it to make her even live for a little bit so he can take her to the hospital. No, she just dies right there in his arms. It was an emotional scene to watch. It was emotional for the voice actors, like Troy Baker, for example, who you go on YouTube, you look up that scene, look at the preparation for that scene. There were a lot of different takes, and they ended up going on one, which was a lot different from what we saw in the game. The director of the game, Neil Druckmann, had called Troy Baker in to do reshoots specifically for that scene because he wanted something a little bit different than what Troy wanted. Because Troy admitted he was going for, I guess, pretty much the Oscar. I mean, they don't give Oscars to video games, but he was going for that Oscar-worthy performance for that scene. Like he kind of admitted that he was trying to draw more attention to himself rather than the scene. And they were going for so many different takes to where, the take that we got in the video game is the one they obviously went with. And Troy understood it's not about me, it's about the scene. It is about Joel, but I'm trying to draw more attention to myself than what's really going on in the scene. And I got mad respect for Troy Baker, by the way. Good dude. Texas guy, by the way, from Dallas. I always show love for my Texas Beeps. So that's really how that game begins, and eventually, it fast forwards, 20 years into the future, where he's, working with someone in Tess. I'm not going to do like an entire review on the first game, because we already know about the first one, because I'm here to talk about the second one. And then he ends up meeting Ellie, who's voiced by, Ashley Johnson, who, if a lot of people don't know, was in the first Avengers movie. She was the waitress that was totally macking on Captain America. Which I remember clearly. I like to think I remember this, that she said that she was supposed to have a much bigger role in the next movie. That she was supposed to be a big character. And I'm thinking maybe she was, but because she ended up doing Last of Us, that took up a lot of her time, and she wasn't able to do everything. So that's just my guess. If someone ever interviews her, someone needs to ask her that. Like, what happened with that role? Because you said you were supposed to have a bigger role. Like I said, what really drove me to get a PS4 was that game. That and the Spider-Man, but that game was what really interested me to get that game. I wanted that game. I wanted a PS4 because of that game, and there was no other way I could play that game without a PS4. So I ended up getting a PS4 the day after Thanksgiving. Guy was selling an offer up for $150, which coincidentally he actually had that game installed in his PS4, but I had to play specifically on his profile in order to play that game. And I wanted to make my own profile, so I made my own profile. I ended up going to GameStop and buying that game, and it was dirt cheap. It's a good game, but it's an old game, but it's a really good game. I'm surprised how cheap it was. Played it, streamed it on my YouTube if you guys want to watch it, and just became obsessed with it. It's just a very good game. This game is not like something that I would have pictured myself playing years ago, because, again, like I said, I've always been more of a, what you want to call it, it's kind of an unofficial statement, like more of a safe gamer. I play the games that are more safe and less complex, less story-driven. And also, like, it technically falls in the category of being a horror game. It's not a horror story, but it falls into that category of horror because it involves zombies. So, and I've never been good at horror games because I get scared. I'm kind of a pussy. And the game's not really about scares. It definitely does have jump scares, but it's more about building tension, like in scenes where you're surrounded by zombies or you gotta run from zombies. That's where the tension comes in. And I've learned to love that. I still hate it, but I hate it and I like it at the same time. So I ended up finishing that game in like February. Originally, the game was supposed to come out in May of May the 31st, and then they got moved to June the 19th because of first they said it had to do with COVID, which I thought was odd because I'm like, just releasing digitally, and when everyone just buys games digitally nowadays. And then they said that I guess the game wasn't fully finished. They wanted to really add, the finishing touches on it, so to say. So whatever. Either way, the game came out, so I was pleased. So yeah, pre-ordered the game on my PS4. I ended up playing it literally like around 1:30 because I was under the impression that it was gonna install the day before, because that's what I actually read, that it was gonna install the day before it was supposed to come out, and then you couldn't play it on Thursday. You had to wait till Friday to actually play it. But no, it actually installed literally the night of, and I had to wait because it's actually a pretty big game. It's a big ass game. So I ended up playing it. I'll try not to do an actual scene for scene, word for word review. I like to keep this show in particular at least 45 minutes. At least 45 minutes, tops. This is going to be a pretty, not a quick review, but I'll cover as much as I can without having to go through the whole story. And if I do, I apologize. I have a tendency to also kind of, go back and forth and talk about different topics. So the episode begins, or not the episode, the game begins where the last game, left off. If you guys haven't played the last game, spoilers. There's a lot of spoilers in this, so I'm just letting you know. The last game, it ends with when Joel was supposed to take Ellie pretty much across the country to this hospital because Ellie is immune. She actually got bit by a zombie, but wasn't infected. So she's the key to saving civilization, quote unquote. And at first, Joel just thinks of Ellie as the mission. He doesn't see her really as anything. He just sees her as, this is just my job. I gotta take care of her. Eventually, they spend an awful lot of time. They spend an awful lot of time together. They grow closer because, again, Joel had Sarah. He sees Ellie as Sarah. He sees Ellie as almost his daughter. Ellie sees Joel as a father figure. I mean, not much is said about Ellie's past life. The first and second game, there's really not much said about Ellie's, upbringing, or her parents, really anything, because when you really look at it, she's 14 when the game starts. Or not when the game starts, but when Joel ends up meeting her. And it's already 20 years into the future. So she was already born 6 years when this whole shit was happening. So we're not sure if her mom actually died during the pandemic. We're not even sure we're not sure who her parents are. I'm pretty sure if they end up making a Last of Us 3, which I'm pretty sure they will, we're going to delve into, Ellie's past, which at this point I don't really think we do. It's not needed, but it seems like something they would probably do. So, I don't know. But anyways, we're not here talking about that. So, the game ends with Joel dropping Ellie off at the hospital. And I forget her name. It's a black girl, who ended up introducing Joel to Ellie at the beginning of the game. She lets Joel know about what's going on, that, they're gonna, put her under anesthesia and get her prepped for surgery, but she's more than likely gonna die. And we find out more during this scene, during part 2. And Joel says, "Can I see her one last time?" He says, "No, you can't. Shoot him if he tries to leave." She tells a guard. And then Joel just goes on his murderous rampage, killing doctors, killing security, military men, everybody, just to get to Ellie. He ends up shooting this, the lady, and takes Ellie. and has her in the truck. Ellie has no idea what happened. So Ellie, at the end of the game, asks Joel, look me in the eye and tell me the truth. What happened? Joel lies to her, just says it wasn't going to work out. Nothing was going to work out. You pretty much lying and saying, you're not special. You're not really as immune as you think you are. So it was never going to work out. That's what they told me. So that's where the game leaves off. It leaves off with Joel driving with Ellie. Ellie's in the back seat, and he's talking to Tommy, his brother. And, he tells Tommy, I did what I had to do, A, B, C, and D. And Tommy, just sides with him and says, hey, I'll be honest, I probably would have done the same thing. I'll take this with the grave if I have to. I won't tell anyone. So the game starts with them going back to Jackson. And, Ellie's in her own little room, her dorm, I guess what you would call it. And teaching, learning how to play guitar. A lot of flashbacks in this game. It's very flashback heavy. Not just with Ellie, but with the next character I'm about to talk about. So it flashes back it fast forwards 4 years into the future. So Ellie's already 18. She wakes up and she goes on patrol with the new girl, Dina, who's now her love interest, voiced by Shannon Woodward, who, if you watch Westworld, you probably know who that is. I don't watch Westworld, but I know who that is. So they speak about her and Joel, that they're kind of going through some hardships. They don't really specify as to what. While that's happening, it shifts over to a new character, which her name is Abby. It's Abby and Owen, and they're in some type of cabin type area, looking over Jackson, and just talking about Jackson, like, are you sure they're over there? They're saying him. Are you sure he's over there? Are you sure it's him? We have a feeling who he's talking about. I mean, it's pretty obvious they're talking about Joel. We're not too sure what their intentions are. It's pretty obvious that they're the villains. They come off as villains. They seem like nice people, but they're villains. So Abby decides to go on her own mission to head on over to Jackson. She ends up getting pretty much brushed by, comes into a brush with zombies. Long distance. And eventually she meets up with Joel. Joel ends up saving her life. And they're able to get away from the zombies, and she ends up taking Joel and Tommy with her back to the cabin with Owen and them. And there's a point where Joel introduces himself to everybody, and then everybody pauses and looks at Joel, and Joel just goes, just paraphrasing, like, did I say something wrong? And they just proceed to beat the shit out of Joel. Abby ends up pistol whipping Tommy and just knocks him out. Joel ends up getting shot in the leg. They hold him while Abby starts to beat the shit out of him with a golf club. While that's happening, Ellie and Dina are, getting it on at their friend Eugene's place. They're smoking weed. And Jesse, who's another new guy, who's Dina's ex, finds him and tells him, Joel and Tommy didn't get back, so we gotta find him. So I'm gonna take point A. Dina's gonna take point B. You're gonna take point C. So Ellie, just goes her own way looking for Joel. She ends up finding the cabin that that Abby and Owen are staying at. So she has no idea what's going on, obviously. So she gets inside the house. All of a sudden, you can hear, cries of pain, and she puts two and two together and realizes, wait, is that Joel? So she runs down to the basement, sees Joel. For a second, it looks like Ellie is going to save him. Like, I was like, okay, Ellie's going to save him. We're going to be fine. No. she ends up being taken down and held down by the rest of this group. And while Abby is just pummeling, Joel's head and, telling Joel, get up, get the fuck up, Joel. Please, please stop. Abby delivers the final blow, a la, Walking Dead Negan. Joel is dead. They killed Joel. They killed Joel off in the beginning of the game, without warning. Abby killed Joel, and before Abby kills him, she says, "Do you remember me? Do I look familiar?" And Joel just says, just why don't you just say then, just tell me who the fuck you are. And he doesn't get that, so Abby kills Joel. And, obviously Ellie is just traumatized. She sees this, and, she tells Abby, I'm going to get you, I'm going to kill all you. They're about to kill Ellie, and then Owen stops and says, no, we're not here for them. We're only here for Joel. They didn't do anything. They're innocent. Owen pretty much saved Ellie's life, because they just came for Joel. So, ballsy move. I expected something big to happen in this game, because the trailers are very discreet and misleading, because the trailers made it look like somebody that Ellie cared about was gonna die. Like, for a second, it looked like they were gonna kill off Dina. Like, just in the trailers, because there's a part in it where Ellie's in a room by herself, and you have Joel come in, and Ellie just looks like she's, ready to kill somebody. She literally says, I'm gonna kill every last one of them. And again, that was Naughty Dog's whole thing, is that they wanted to throw you off their scent. They wanted you to think that you were thinking. But then when you actually watched the game, you thought wrong. So Joel's dead. Ellie is a heartbroken mess. I was heartbroken. I was legit mad that they killed Joel. I didn't like it. It made sense towards the end, but I didn't think they should have killed him. If any, it should have been a thing where he was incapacitated, that he was in a coma, and that it was given the impression that he would die. I didn't like that they killed him. I didn't like it. I didn't care for it. They really shouldn't have done it. It's obvious what they're going for. They want to go for, this is the Ellie show, this is her game, this is her series. Fine. I like Ellie, but I just don't think they should have killed Joel. Plain and simple, in my opinion. So basically, Ellie goes on her rampage. Her and Dina end up going to Seattle to go after this group, which is Abby's group. Tommy actually went before them. And what I like about these games, what I found interesting about Last of Us, and the second one did a lot more than the first one, where you actually got to see a lot more different worlds. And I don't mean to go ahead, but that's what I kind of hope for in the third one. If there is a part 3, which I'm pretty sure there will be, if there is a part 3, or if they end up doing I would say a spin-off. I think a spin-off would be a lot more interesting. Have different characters in the Last of Us world that are dealing with their own trauma, dealing with their own shit in different parts of the world. You can have a Last of Us overseas. You can have a Last of Us in London, which that would be pretty fucking cool. I don't know. We're obviously not gonna find it anytime soon unless all this pandemic shit ends. But that's what I liked about it, is that you got to go to Seattle, you got to see different shit, you got to see a lot more. You get to see a lot more with Abby, which we'll get into Abby. So, Ellie's with Dina, which I like the combo, the tandem of her and Dina. Ashley Johnson and Shannon Wilbur, I think, had really good chemistry. They worked well together. The couple just seemed very relatable, because you had Ellie, who's very much a broken person. she is hurt. She is heartbroken. And then you got Dina, who's more of the... She's more of the I wouldn't say carefree, but, like, she's kind of a goof. She's kind of a big goof. She's more of a big goof than Ellie. Like, she's the one that brings more of the lightheartedness to each scene. Like, she's obviously a fan of dad jokes, which that made me like her even more, because I like dad jokes, too. The model they got to play Dina is gorgeous. I forget her name, but she's fucking gorgeous. Anyways, back to the story. So they're going up and down Seattle. There's a point where they have to stop and, find shelter for the rest of the night. Dina finds out that Ellie can't get, infected. They're underground and dealing with spores, and Ellie's mask gets cracked. And then Dina offers to give her mask, and, Ellie tells her, no, I can't get infected, I can't bring them spores. I'm fine. So they end up finding a movie theater, which was on the map that they found at the base for they're called the Wolves, WLF. That's what they're called, the WLF Wolves. I kept going to call them WTF because anytime the caption came on, I'd say WLF Soldier, it looked like WTF. So they found a map which they were able to locate a lot of bases, and they found a movie theater to find shelter. They pretty much, air each other's baggage to each other, like most couples would. And, Ellie reveals the truth to her. Dina reveals the truth that she's actually pregnant, and it is, in fact, Jesse's baby, because that was her ex-boyfriend before she got with Dina, or before she got with Ellie. So, after this, you're pretty much on your own as far as, you being Ellie, which is, I guess, kind of the way you want it, because, everyone loves Ellie. Ellie goes on her own mission to look for answers. Eventually, she meets up with somebody named Nora, who's at the hospital, and she just proceeds to beat the living shit out of her. There's an interesting, chasing scene, and there's an interesting point where you beat her to death with a crowbar, and Ellie is just a bloody mess, and she's not the innocent girl that she was in the first game. In the first game, she's very much innocent. She still swears like a sailor, but she's a lot more innocent in the first game. Like, you understood her. Not to say you don't understand her in this game, but she's more unhinged in this game. Like, she's become unraveled. She's become undone. I guess what you want to call it. More of the cheesy acronyms, whatever you want to call it. And when she comes back to the theater to meet up with Jesse and them, she's covered in blood. She's a bloody mess, and she's literally fucked up from head to toe. Like, there's a point where Dina is treating to her wounds, and she tells her, shirt off, and you see the back of her. You see her back, and it is cut the fuck up. Like, this girl is seriously putting herself through like a shit ton of damage. She ends up going back out because she hears Abby is at the aquarium in Seattle. You go to the aquarium, there's really not too much shit you have to worry about, except there's a dog in the beginning, and then you have to kill the dog. That's one thing. If there's one thing I have to say I really didn't like about this game, is that you have to kill dogs. I mean, you can tell Neil Druckmann is a cat person. Like, if any, do something to take the dogs out. Like, I don't know, shoot them with tranquilizer darts that are specifically for the dogs. I don't know. Or put the dog to sleep. But anyways, after you get past the dog, you don't really have to worry about anything else. You just have to get to wherever you think Abby is. You find Owen and Mel in there. And, you just point a gun at them, letting them know, hey, tell me where Abby is, and I won't kill you. Which, that's a lie. And she ends up shooting Owen in the stomach, and she gets up to Abby, and she tells Abby, point on the map where Abby is. Or not Abby, she goes up to Mel and says, point on the map where Abby is. And, they get into a tussle. She ends up, I think, stabbing or shooting Mel. So she ends up killing Mel. What she doesn't know is that Mel was pregnant. Like, she notices there's a bump because, Mel the whole time was wearing a hoodie, so you can't really tell that well. But she ends up, unzipping her hoodie and realizes that Mel is pregnant. So now Ellie has really gone off the deep end. She's almost become unlikable at this point because, again, she didn't know, but she's at the point where she's ready to kill anyone that gets in her way. Like, anyone that was linked to what happened to Joel, she's gonna kill him. She doesn't care if she doesn't get the answers that she wants. She doesn't get what she wants out of him. She's gonna kill him. So Ellie has gone from being this sweet, innocent, likable girl from the first game to just becoming almost a monster. And you get why. A lot of people's actions in this game are justified. You go back to the theater, and now Abby has realized where you are, and she has Tommy at gunpoint. She's shot Jesse in the head. She shot Jesse clear in the head, so Jesse's dead. Which, that kind of pissed me off, because I was starting to like Jesse. So, she has Ellie at gunpoint. She has Tommy at gunpoint, saying, you killed all my friends. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, this game's gonna. This was a relatively short game, so here we go. It cuts to flashback. Another flashback, by the way, people. Which I forgot to mention in one of the flashbacks with Ellie. It showed 2 years prior that Joel admitted the truth to her about what really happened. There was a point where the year before this flashback, they had went to a music store because Joel wanted to get her, I guess, something for her guitar, like a new chord or something. And they had heard in that music store that a couple of teens from their camp ran away. They end up fighting the teens, and, Ellie makes a comment about, too bad they ain't more immune. I heard they were more immune like me. Joel is seriously just deadpan, like, just trying to change the subject of, like, there are no others like you. Nobody else is like you. So that still is raising Ellie's suspicion. So the next year, she ends up going back to the hospital that, of what happened in the last game. And she's trying to look for more evidence, anything that can give her any type of answers. And she finds a tape recording of, somebody, talking about what happened that day. And it's the doctor that was going to do the operation on her. Or not the doctor. It was the doctor first, and then it was somebody else saying, unfortunately, the only person that could create this vaccine is dead. And then they ended up mentioning, not Joel by name, but just pretty much describing him. So Ellie already knows the truth. And Joel comes to find her, when he realized that she ran off. Ellie just says straight up, you either tell me the truth right now, or I'm leaving and you'll never see me. If you tell me the truth, I will come back with you to Jackson. So he tells her the truth, and it's a lot different than I thought it'd be, because I didn't expect Ellie to break down like that. When she broke down, it kind of got me, because she was really torn up about the truth. I mean, I expected her to be pissed off beyond all reason, but she was almost just really broken. Like, she was already starting the road to how she was going to be in this game. And, she tells Joel, I'll come back with you to Jackson, but we're fucking done. So, come back to Abby. Now we gotta play as Abby. Which, I'll try not to spend too much time on that. So, it shows Abby from 4 years ago as a young girl looking for her dad. Her dad and Owen are fireflies. And it's showing them having to go to the hospital. The same hospital that, Joel took Ellie. Come to find out, Abby's dad was the doctor that was going to work on Ellie. So he's talking to the girl, which, again, I keep forgetting her name. He's explaining to her, listen, I literally have no other way to do this without killing her. Like, if there were any other way, I'd look for it. It sucks. I hate it more than you do, but it has to be done. There is no other way. So, and then that's when she ends up saying, I have to tell him at least I owe him that much. So when all this shit's going down, Joel gets into the hospital room, and that was the doctor that he killed, because when Joel gets into the operating room, you see the doctor going, pretty much like, we're doing this operation, get away from her. So he pulls out his scalpel as a weapon, which I'm just like, why would you bring a knife to a gunfight? And Joel ends up killing him and takes Ellie. It shows Abby, finding her dad on the floor. So Abby already knows who Joel is, and so for a big chunk in the game, you play as Abby, which I get it, because everybody's anger and their actions are justified and they make sense, and you get it. You understand why people are the way they are, because Joel's no angel, he's no saint. He openly admitted in the last game that he had to do things that were fucked up in order to survive. He taught Ellie that. He had to do what he had to do. But again, it's one of those things where you just prefer it didn't happen. I guess there was really no other way to really make the story interesting. But you have to play as somebody who killed the main character a character that we were very attached to. We were attached to Ellie, but we were also attached to Joel. And it was almost kind of a, however you want to look at it, it was almost kind of a slap in the face that this bitch, we're planning on killing her. Like, the idea is we're going to find her and kill her, but now we have to play as her. And I didn't really care. I understood her part of the story, I just didn't care. I didn't care about her and Owen. It didn't matter to me. And her as a transgender, but she's not really a transgender. Like, someone says she's a transgender, but then somebody else said that she's not really transgender. She just took a lot of HGH. That awkward sexing with her and Owen. It's just, I didn't care for the story. I thought it took long. I thought it took longer than it should have. I think if it was just a few scenes, I think if it was just you show what happened with her dad. You show what Joel did to her dad. You show a few cutscenes. You focus more on her getting to where she needs to be, but kind of dialing it down a little bit, and not focus so much on the whole thing with her and Owen, I would have been okay with that. Because it was one of those things just okay, right when she gets to her and Ellie, I was like, okay, here we go. And then you cut to, now we gotta play as Abby. It's I really didn't care. And, if you watch the videos I put on YouTube and streaming, I'm literally just voicing my displeasure with the whole storyline. I'm just I really don't care. It seemed like when it was about to end, it would begin. And just the whole thing with her and the two kids, it didn't matter to me. I didn't care for it. It didn't appeal to me. I just want to play as Ellie. It got to a point where I'm just Ellie doesn't seem like she really exists in this game anymore. It seems like it's the Abby show. It didn't matter to me. Slowly the whole thing with her and Lev and Yara, I guess it made sense. I just didn't care. It didn't matter to me. It didn't matter to me anymore. I was at the point where I'm just I got really annoyed. There were a lot of unnecessary boss scenes, the whole thing with, apparently he was the Rat King, that giant ass monster. He was a combination of other monsters. I'm I'm not getting scared in that part. I'm getting angry. I'm like, is this really a necessary part in the game? Like, come on. And then when you have to fight one of their offspring, that pissed me the fuck off. Like, I didn't care. Didn't care for that scene in particular. Eventually you end up finding your way back. Eventually you have to get the kids back to their island because, the wolves are having a war with the Scars, which are the Seraphites, which I kind of wish they would have focused more on them. Like, there was a lot more to the Seraphites than there really was, because there really wasn't. You didn't talk about them that much, and I'm a fan of cults. I'm a fan of anything, like, cult-related, and that was actually interesting, and they didn't really talk too much about them, so maybe in the next game, they'll kind of delve more into them, because I get why they didn't have... I get why they didn't talk about them too much, because apparently the founder of the group died before it could happen, so maybe they'll talk about it in the next game, if there's a prequel, which I kind of hope there's more of a prequel than a sequel. So you go to that island, and literally everyone's killing themselves. Yara ends up getting killed by one of the wolves. The leader, Isaac, who's voiced by Jeffrey Wright, which I didn't know. I actually saw his name in the credits, which I like Jeffrey Wright, Commissioner Gordon. He's in the game very briefly. He gets mentioned a lot, but he's in the game very briefly, which I get it because it wasn't really about him. But kind of wish there was more Isaac. He ends up getting killed. Everybody else ends up being killed except for Abby and Lev. So Abby and Lev end up going back to the aquarium, and they find Owen and Mel and the dog dead. And they see the map that Ellie left there after realizing that she killed a pregnant woman. And they realize where she is. They end up going back to the theater and ambushing them. So now we're at the end of the game, so we think. And you have to play as Abby again. You have to play as Abby fighting Ellie, which I'm just like... And you have to make sure you beat Ellie, which... To me, the first time I tried to do it, I ended up getting killed. I'm like, shouldn't that really be the end of the game? Like, shouldn't Ellie be getting her what she wanted the whole time? No, you have to play as Abby, and then you have to beat the shit out of Ellie. It looks like you're going to kill Dina, because Dina comes out and protects Ellie, and then Lev tells Abby, just don't. Like, we only came here for her. And then Abby tells Ellie, don't make sure I don't ever catch you again. I know we're going over 45 minutes, so fuck it. I tried to say I wasn't gonna do like an entire review, which fuck it. So we get into the future, and Dean already has the kid, which, from the looks of it, I'm assuming it's a year and a half. They're already living together on a farm, which, when I saw that, I'm like, this better be the ending. This better be the ending of the game. There's a point in it where you sit on a tractor with Dina's kid, whose name is JJ. Which I'm not sure if that means Jesse Jr. or Joel Jr. Or Joel Jr. Or maybe Jesse Joel, I don't know. And they're staring off into the sunset. Beautiful scene, by the way. And I'm just like, this should be the end of the game. Like, Ellie doesn't really have anything to prove. She literally has nothing else to prove. Abby beat the fuck out of her. And, like, literally beat the fuck out of her. Like, broke her arm and beat the fuck out of her. And she spared Dean because of Lev. This should be in the game. Like, the next game should be about Ellie wanting to pursue Abby. That should be the next game. What ends up happening is that, Ellie goes into the barn to bring the sheep in. Or the goats in, I mean. And she ends up having a PTSD moment. Thinking about Joel, what happened to him. And she starts going into shock in the barn, and Dina finds her there. She comes out from hunting and finds Tommy. Tommy tells her, hey, one of my guys just told me they found a very butch-looking chick with big arms in California. She's there, and then Ellie just tells her, I'm done. I got a family. I can't do it. I'm done. And then Tommy just... Fuck Tommy, by the way. Just tells her, you made a promise to me. You said I would kill her. I promise I will kill her. Tommy making it very clear, it's good that you have a family, but you have a promise to keep. So in the end, Ellie succumbs to it and, tells Dina, I got to do this. You do what you got to do. Dina's telling her, I don't think I can do this anymore. And Ellie just says, do what you got to do. So shows her going to California. You play as Abby again, and then you're looking for some house, which they never really say why you go to the house. You find a basement, and then you find a bunch of different numbers, and you end up calling a certain number, and then come to find out that there's fireflies that are going to be grouping up again. So she ends up finding out a Firefly Funhouse, WWE, a Firefly place, and tells them, hey, we're going to be on our way over there. We're going to meet you. And they say, hey, can't wait to meet you. As they're leaving the house, they get captured by this random group of, it looks like bikers, but they never really say who they are. They just, I guess, a group or territory running Cali, and they just capture random people. So they take down Lev, they take down Abby, and this was apparently 2 months prior to Ellie finding out where she is, because Ellie goes to Cali. It's kind of a quick scene. Of course, you run into monsters, but there's ways to get by without actually having to interact with them. There's a point where Ellie ends up getting captured by one of those that group's trap. She ends up being hung upside down. As she's swinging, she ends up not impaling herself, but stabbing herself with a loose tree branch in her side, in her abdomen. So she's hanging upside down and bleeding. So it's pretty rough. This group of bikers, I'm just gonna call them bikers. Fuck it. They find her, and they end up bringing her down. And of course, Ellie being Ellie, talking shit. She ends up killing both of them. Well, she kills the first guy by throwing him into one of the infected that they had strung up. And then she ends up, shooting the other guy in the leg and saying, about to kill him. And the other guy says, wait, you said Abby. I heard you say Abby. We have her in our bunker. She's going to be here. And Ellie, in true fashion shoots him in the neck. So again, you have to shoot your way to find Abby and Lev. Well, she's mainly just looking for Abby. She doesn't know who Lev is. I mean, she knows of Lev, but she's just mainly after Abby. You go through all these this group of sick fucks that actually will tie up infected and just torture them. Which, Ellie says it best. These are truly sick fucks. You make your way to this tall, round building, which is described where the prisoners are. Ellie lets out the prisoners, but Abby's not there, and she asks one of the prisoners, where's Abby? She says she's down by the docks. She's down by the beach on the crosses. And it turns out any infected prisoners they get, they actually hang them on the crosses. Pretty much crucify them. So, after this, there's really no action until the end. You're basically just walking to the beach. You don't have to worry about any more infected. You don't have to worry about any prison guards. Because the prisoners got out, and now they're taking over, and they're attacking the prison guards. You get to the end, it's kind of a pretty grody scene. You see Abby shrunk up on a cross. You get her down, and then, Lev, they end up getting Lev down. You follow her to the beach, to the boats, because Abby sees Ellie and just assumes that she's not a threat because she's there. She came to save her. And Abby's more focused on Lev. She doesn't really care about the beef between her and Ellie. She's more concerned about getting Lev out. Ellie's considering letting her go, but Ellie again starts thinking about Joel. And turns over to Abby and says, "No, we're not finished. You and me still got unfinished business." Abby's like, dude, there's a lot bigger shit to worry about than you and me. So, Ellie threatens to kill Lev and says, no, we're doing this or I'm killing him. Either way, we're both killing each other. So, you get into a fist fight with Abby. It looks like you're going to kill Abby. There's a point where you're drowning her. But Ellie starts to think about Joel playing guitar, which we'll get to that scene. And lets Abby go. Just pretty much tells Abby, just go, get out of here. And so they end up, riding away in their boat, and Ellie's just sitting there in the ocean like, I came all the way over here for nothing. For literally no reason. I'm not the cold-hearted killer that I thought I was going to be, because this is Joel. Joel would have taken care of this bitch. So Ellie ends up going back to the barn, and nobody's home. Dina is gone. Dina took the kids, she took the furniture, she took everything. All that's left is the guitar. And so you play guitar for a bit, and then you walk off. And and the camera just pans to outside. You see Ellie walking away. Kind of the end of the game, and then it shows another flashback, which is the flashback. Oh, sorry, flashback. I'm about to hit an hour. Fuck it. Who cares? And it shows her and Joel talking, because it showed another flashback where it was the one that they showed in the game where it shows her and Dina at the party kissing. It shows them, dancing together, and Ellie's not sure how to handle this. She's not too sure how to handle romance, and she's like, every guy here is staring at me, what to do, and Dina's like, they should all be afraid of you. So they kiss, and there's like some random, douchebag, saying, hey, this is a family event, and they just kind of brush it off, and this guy, his name is Seth, says, this is what this town needs, is another loudmouth dyke, and Ellie's about to beat his ass, and then Joel steps in and kind of shoves him off. And Joel's just trying to defend her, and Ellie's saying, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, yeah, no right. Well, yeah, no right either. I don't need your fucking help. So it ends up going to, this is literally the end of the game, which is that night, Joel's just outside playing guitar, drinking coffee, and Ellie just comes up to him, and it's one of those things where she's really trying, but she's still mad. And at this moment, Joel he's really in no position to try and defend himself. But, Ellie's like, Ellie tells him, I was supposed to die on that table. You're an asshole. Like, why would you do that? I was supposed to die. I could have meant something. And then Joel says, if God gave me another chance, I would have done the same thing. I don't regret what I did. I regret hurting you, but I don't regret what I did. It ends with Ellie telling Joel, I don't think I can ever forgive you, but I want to try. And Joel says, I like that. And then Ellie says, see you around, and walks off. And it looks like they're on the road to recovery, like they were going to try and mend fences. But unfortunately, the next day that didn't happen. So that's something that's always going to weigh on Ellie's mind, is that she was going to forgive him. They were going to, go back to the way it was before, and she'll never get that chance. It was taken away from her, and the person that took it away, she could have killed her, and that could have solved everything, but she didn't kill her, which again, something I don't agree with, because it's like, either way Dina was going to leave, but it would have at least meant something for Ellie. It would she would have came back and realized, I did what I had to do, but at what cost? I finally killed the person that took away the only person that's ever meant anything to me. But now I've lost the love of my life. Now it's, I didn't kill the person that took away, someone who was my father, pretty much. And now I've lost 2 fingers. Now I've lost my girl, my stepson. I have nothing. It's a very depressing ending. Like, the game overall is depressing, But the game is depressing because the main character has nothing. She literally has nothing. She lost two fingers. She lost her best friend, and she lost she lost the love of her life and her stepson. So I didn't get why. It's like you kill Joel. Okay, the point of this is we're supposed to kill Abby. Now we didn't kill Abby, so what the fuck? It's just I didn't agree with the ending. If Ellie was gonna lose something, she should have at least had something. It's like I lost two of my fingers, I lost my love of my life, I lost my stepson, but at least I got to avenge the death of the only person that's ever meant anything to me, that's ever looked out for me, that's never left me, that's always been by my side. I left the game feeling very jaded. I left the game feeling like, why do we need another character? Why do we need another character besides Ellie? I didn't like the ending. I like the game overall. I like the features. The surroundings, getting like a shit ton of like ammo and gadgets and like tools and scrumming for parts. There was a lot of that. There was an awful lot of that. Like I said, I wish they would have spent more time with the Seraphites, but I have a feeling it's going to be something that's going to end up in another game. Like they're going to talk about in the sequel, or more likely the prequel. That seems like something that they would talk about in the prequel. As far as there being a sequel, at this point, I don't think the fans are clamoring for a sequel because, again, the game wasn't bad, but the first one was a lot better. M-Dog from EcoMog, it's a YouTube channel, shout out to them. He was not a big fan of the game. He made an interesting point that I kind of half agree with, where he said, this is a case of a game that didn't need a sequel. I kind of agree with him, because I think if they had just left the first game alone and decided, we're going to make this into a spin-off, like we're going to have different areas dealing with different problems, and then eventually they're going to meet up with Ellie and Joel as like as like our own little Marvel universe, as our own Avengers, whatever you want to call it. And then the big game ends up being that they find a cure for everybody. Like I don't know, I'm just making up shit. But I think if there was never a sequel to this game, I would have been okay with it. It would have made sense. It would have been fine if they had just decided to do like a spin-off, or maybe even a prequel. Like, why the fuck not? But the big things that come into play is they shouldn't have killed Joel. I mean, let alone in the first act of the game. I mean, I obviously could tell that they were going to kill somebody that meant something to Ellie. I just didn't think they were going to kill Joel. If any, I thought they were going to kill Dina, or maybe even like wipe out the entire Jackson community. And then it was just going to end up being, it's going to be the Joel and Ellie show again, which I would have been fine with. But them killing Joel off, like literally in the beginning of the game, I wasn't fine with it. And then the fact that he had to play it as her killer, which I get it, because they were trying to make us understand it from her point of view, because in this game there were really no villains. The only villains were the Seraphites and the rest, and like Isaac. Isaac was just a straight up dick. Abby came off as a cool person. She came off as somebody you would actually want to hang out with. Ellie, you get why she is the way she is, but she comes off as someone who makes it very clear, I gotta do what I gotta do, and if it means losing you, then, so be it. Abby is all about friendship. She's all about loyalty. And she seems like someone you would actually want to hang out with. And she went out of her way to save these kids and to form a relationship with them, because it was almost like the relationship of Joel and Ellie. Lev is this confused kid that has no clue what the fuck's going on. He doesn't even swear. He comes from a community that doesn't even know, slang, doesn't even know about music. Abby's all about, what she's all about. There's a point where Abby tells Liv, "You're pretty punk rock," and Liv just goes, "Punk rock?" Like, I thought that was a cute line, but again, it was one of those things where I get. I just think it really dragged on. Like, the ending was very anticlimactic. I thought it should have ended at the farm when Ellie is, sitting on the tractor with her stepson. That's really where it should have ended. But, and if they were going to end up doing a third one, which I think they will, have that be the storyline. Have that be, in the third game, she decides to pursue Abby. Like, the game ends with her looking off into the sunset, and she kind of has her happy ending, but then it's one of those things where it leaves doubts. Like, you see the look on Ellie's face, and you're like, is she really happy? Is she really satisfied? And then the third game can be that she pursues Abby, but eventually, I was assuming that it's going to be a thing like they form a friendship. Because Abby has her own happy ending because she's with Lev. I mean, they're not together, but that's her family pretty much. And then she ends up with the Fireflies. And then Ellie tries to have her happy ending, but she just can't shake off the fact that she still has to think about the fact that she saw Joel die. And she couldn't do anything about it. So she feels that she still needs to pursue Abby. Even if she does have her own happy ending. So that could have easily been part 3. The second half of the game could have easily been a part 3. But I don't know. As far as the game goes, I would say don't listen to the reviews. Don't listen to the negativity and the hate that people have for it. If you really did love the first game, play it. Just play the second game, see what you like. If you don't like it, that's fine. But you would really be doing yourself a disservice as a fan if you didn't play this game. You need to play it. If you love the first game, then you're going to want to play this. You might not love it, but you're going to want to play it. Again, there are some things I liked. There's a lot of stuff I didn't like, but there's things I did like. I like the dynamic with her and Dina. I like some of the flashbacks. The acting was good. The acting, it's weird to say an acting in a video game is good. It's just weird to say. The Seraphites I thought were pretty cool. I just wish they would have talked about them a little bit more. And the backstory with Abby I thought was interesting. But I didn't care about the whole thing with her and Owen. I would have preferred if Abby was just... You know what? Now that I think about it, I would have preferred if it was like a Captain America Winter Soldier type of deal where Abby and Ellie are kind of two sides of the same coin, but they're just very different people. They were brought up differently. Like, that's how I kind of wanted it. Like, Abby doesn't really have any attachments. Like, she's a soldier. She's an assassin. She doesn't have a love interest. She's always been someone who's very by herself. I think if they had stuck to that would have been a lot more interesting. But a lot of these studios at the end of the day, they can't help themselves. Everything has to have a loving storyline. I mean, it's all fine and dandy, but with a character like Abby, I didn't want her to have a love storyline. I didn't care. But that's just how I view it. Overall, again, the game, it's worth playing. There's going to be a lot of stuff you don't like about it, but it's worth playing. I enjoyed it. Again, I know I might be contradicting myself, but I enjoyed the game. It was a good game. So, anyways, that's my review for Last of Us Part 2. I'll make sure to be posting this on my other YouTube channel, which is, or my other podcast, which is Yari Extra. Let's see. I just recorded the Drew Yari show, and I already edited that. I just need to upload it. I'll upload that tomorrow. probably upload this in a bit. I know I said it was going to go 45 minutes, but I couldn't help not talking about the entire game as a whole. So, fuck it. I'll try and keep these episodes under an hour. So, we'll see. But anyways, you know where to find me. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Juyari Show, YouTube, Juyari Show. I stream games. I already streamed Last of Us 2 on here. I streamed the first Last of Us as well. So, you know where to find me. I'll try and do more of these as much as I can, especially since I'm pre-recording. I'm not doing live shows anymore. But anyways, guys, take care. Thank you for listening, and let me know what you think. Peace.